Welcome back into Colts Talk. Billy Beebe with you, and an interesting show today because we are going to talk about Michael Pittman Jr. replacements traded during NFL free agency. We reacted just a little bit, but it was the other day when we were kind of talking about the new additions at wide receiver in free agency and how they fit in. It made us kind of realize Michael Pittman Jr. replacements are needed right now for the Indianapolis Colts. I think that's very clear. I think we've talked about that a few times on this show, and now more than ever, we're going to discuss why it matters for the Colts and who they can go after in free agency to kind of try and make this happen. Now, we take a look at Michael Pittman Jr. I've discussed, I think Alec Pierce can pick up some of the slack on the numbers from the past few years. I definitely think that's an option. I also think there's opportunities for Tyler Warren and Josh Downs, and there are going to be opportunities for other guys to step up. However, there is a spot open with Michael Pittman Jr. gone, right? Those are the facts in general in this situation. And it was the other day when we bring up this depth chart on where the Colts kind of stand right now, and you look at that bad boy, Laquon Treadwell brought back by the Colts. That is what it is. I don't think Laquon Treadwell is a wide receiver 2 for this team. That's just true, right? He's not a number 2 for the Colts. He's not a number 2 in the NFL. I think both of those things are true, and I think they have to be acknowledged by the Indianapolis Colts with the idea that you have to go out and get a Michael Pittman Jr. replacement. For me, mainly the biggest reason you want to do this and not just rely on other guys to up their stats and up what they're doing is you look at that wide receiver 2 spot, and it's not good enough. Before we get into the names, we are so close to 2,000 subscribers. We'd love to have you guys be a part of the journey with us here on Colts Talk. We can hit a goal today by getting to that 2,000 subscribers, and you can get free Indianapolis Colts news when you hit that sub button. Anything going on with the Colts, whether it be the draft, free agency, trades, we still got signings coming in. We bring it right to you right away, and all you have to do is hit that sub button for free. Help us get to 2K. It's a win-win at this point in time, so be sure to hit that sub button right now. All right, kind of an interesting first name in the Michael Pittman Jr. replacements suggestions from myself, Stefon Diggs. Yes, after a trip to the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots, which I really still can't believe. I was definitely in the camp where I thought Stefon Diggs was done. I thought he was cooked. I didn't think he had anything left. Really surprised me this past season. Really upped his game, stayed healthy, played a lot for the New England Patriots. Definitely gave them exactly what they were kind of hoping for in this situation when they signed him. A little bit of star power paired with production. Again, extremely surprising production-wise for Stefon Diggs. So kind of seems like he can still give it to you, right? He can still get on the field and make plays and score touchdowns and get over 1,000 yards and be a quality one-ish / number 2 receiver for your team. However, my big thing is obviously the off-the-field issues for Stefon Diggs. He proved to you he can have a 1,000-yard season again. He proved to you he can play close to a full NFL season, right, without missing much time. However, what he did not prove this past season is he can stay out of trouble / drama / too much spotlight, however you want to put it. He did not prove that he can do that off the field. That is my biggest issue personally with Stefon Diggs. This is one of those things where the details get a little tricky, and you don't want to say this happened or that happened or the other thing happened when it actually may not have. So I always try to tread lightly with that in general. However, it definitely seems like a lot of this stuff bogged him down, created issues with the Patriots, which is why they released him, and he is a free agent right now. Actually, not the number 1 wide receiver on ESPN's list, but definitely a quality option at that position. But I always like to ask you guys, you know that, should the Colts sign Stefon Diggs? It's that simple. Should they do it or should they not? Type Y for yes if they should sign him. Type N for no if they shouldn't. Next name on my list. Yes, I've hit this one a couple times in free agent targets and rumors with the Colts and things I want to see the Colts do. I want to see them take a swing at Tyreek Hill. I still stand by it. I still think it's a quality option for the Colts. I don't regret putting him on this list once again, the latest with Tyreek Hill, his agent Drew Rosenhaus noting that he will be ready for the start of the 2026 NFL season. And then also an article over the weekend from CBS Sports. I thought it was relevant to discuss the fact that they said that Hill will most likely land with a contender. That is where you kind of have to ask yourself, when you're talking about a contender and a player wanting to play for a contender, is that the Indianapolis Colts? Right? I think that's a relevant question. I think the other relevant question is, what does Tyreek Hill have left? You can see a minor drop-off in 2024, then, of course, a major injury in 2025, and then now that leads you to where you're at going into 2026. This is a big name. This is a big pop guy if you can get him. I love the idea of him possibly giving you something for 1 year, for the Colts being a number 2, right? He signs with you. He's a quality number 2 immediately. However, I think a lot of people are going to question the off-the-field stuff with him as well, and I think there's also going to be, some questions of health-wise, right? That's why I wanted to give that health update with him. Drew Rosenhaus saying that Tyreek Hill will be good to go for the season. However, you and I both know that doesn't necessarily mean he'll be at 100% or, the old Tyreek Hill. Maybe And maybe you're all right with a 75% Tyreek Hill. I don't know. That is the question for sure right now. Did want to remind you guys, we are so close to the NFL draft. It is coming in real hot. And if you did not subscribe yet, you saw what we did in free agency, all the videos we had, all the coverage we had. It's going to be the exact same thing for the NFL draft. Subscribe for Colts NFL draft coverage before it gets here so you are completely up to date. I did want to provide a name on this list for the NFL draft in case the Colts get into that position and have that opportunity. Zachariah Branch, wide receiver from Georgia, is a guy I wanted to highlight here for the Indianapolis Colts. He is in that second round range for the Colts, so if they're considering drafting a wide receiver, Branch is definitely a guy they should take a look at. I like what he did with Georgia. His ability in burst when he gets the ball is something that really, really excites me as something the Colts could get out of him at that position, right? He makes that catch. His next move is a pure burst down the field, and I think that would really, really pay off for them. Hasn't really been said if he'd be slot in the NFL or on the outside, so they can kind of mold him in that range, give him that ability to make a difference, and from day one, decide how they want to use him and play him and make the most of his talent. A guy from Georgia, again, big burst receiver, get the ball in his hands and let him work. When you have a guy like Alec Pierce who's more surging down the field, going for those big plays, you can look at a guy like Branch and try and make the most of his opportunities. However, I maybe you already said it, maybe you're already thinking it. Well, I'm thinking it too. Yes, I wanted to give you a draft option in Zachariah Branch, but it's not lost on me here with the Colts that pick number 47, I don't know that that's what you want to do with your really first pick in the draft, right? It's not just the fact that it's a wide receiver that you're taking there. It's the fact that you're in the second round, that's your first pick of the day, and you're going wide receiver. Feels like the Colts have bigger needs, right? Isn't that something we would probably say? I think the front office thinks that, and the fan base definitely thinks that as well. I don't know that the Colts are going to go wide receiver with pick number 47. Jauan Jennings is the final name on this list. Again, I've listed him as a free agent target for the Indianapolis Colts. I thought it was important to get him on this list as well. That is mainly, honestly, because he's the number one wide receiver on the free agent market. I think that's notable, right? You have to kind of acknowledge the fact that if there's a guy to get at free agent wide receiver, right now it's Jauan Jennings. Don't love 3 years, $68 million, his projected market value by Spotrac right now. I don't love that. I got to be really honest with you guys. That doesn't make me feel comfortable about the type of contract you give a guy like this. I like Jauan Jennings enough that I'd like to see him play. However, in my head, when I'm kind of thinking about the guys and the options that the Colts have at this position, a little antsy about locking in for multiple years. In my head, it's more of a, let's give Tyreek Hill one more chance. let's give Stefon Diggs one more chance, try and get him to pop, try and make them, see what they really, really have left in the tank. A guy like Jennings, you bring Jauan Jennings in, you're locked up for, like it says, 3 years, $60+ million. So I definitely think you got to be careful there. Great would be to get the number one number one wide receiver on the free agent market. However, I don't know about being locked into multiple years for big money for a guy like that. We're wrapping up. Glad to have you guys here on Colts Talk talking about Michael Pittman Jr. replacements today. If you made it to the end of the video, we want to know, and the best way to let us know is by typing me.